Hey y'all, welcome back to Mandy's Music Monday. Number one, listen, Amy. Just for you. Okay, today I wanted to do my favorite cover songs. This was my original list. And there was 11 songs on here, and then I got to looking at them, and I'm like, you know what? Some of these songs I don't really listen to on a regular basis, and to me, if I don't listen to them a lot or at least often, I don't think I should include them on my list, because that's not fair, because I don't listen to them one way or the other. So I changed it. Can you see? So I changed it. Yeah. So let's just get on with it. Amy did this video already. I will link her channel at the bottom. She talks all about music too. So these songs are in no particular order. I just kind of wrote them down as they came to me. Okay, so number one song that I like to cover better than the original is Orgy, Blue Monday. Okay, Orgy covered it. The original was by New Order. New Order came out with it in '83. Orgy came out with it in '98. I was in high school in '98. So this song, I very vividly remember seeing this on MTV, like on TRL. And I loved it the second I heard it. And I usually don't even like this. When Orgy covered it, they made it kind of metal. You know, like when you hear it by Orgy, you immediately want to bang your head. And I am not a headbanger. Not a headbanger. But every time it's like, like I was doing it right now, and I was just it's not even on, and I was already like banging my head. New Order's version came out in '83, and when I was doing my research on it, it said that the song is almost 7.5 minutes long, and it is the longest song. Hold on, let me look. I wrote it down. It's one of the longest tracks to ever chart in the UK at 7.5 minutes. New Order's version is really, it's very 80s. They had a lot of that synth stuff in it, which Orgy still has it in there. Orgy just kind of threw a little bit more of that in there. Tiffany way back in the day, which she probably still is to an extent. You know how you have your favorite bands when you're a child, and then you kind of grow up and you move on from them? Well, her favorite band when she was in middle school was Orgy. That was her band. That was her man. She loved Amir, who is the bass player. To me, looks like a blonde Alan Rickman as Snape. Imagine Alan Rickman as Snape, and then imagine him in a blonde wig instead of a black wig and a lot of eye makeup. That's what Amir looks like to me. And she was the one that pointed out to me first, and I think it's because Amir had like a long nose. But yeah, they were her absolute favorite. She even had like a little website that she made all dedicated to Orgy. And but I mean, the Candy Ass album was just a good album. It had Stitches on there, and I also like Dreams in Digital. And actually, Tiffany, if you're ever looking for your Orgy albums, I'm pretty sure I still have them all. I took them before you moved. So number two is Cactus by David Bowie. David Bowie had it on the Heathen album in 2002. The Pixies came out with it in '88. And the song is very naughty. Okay, in the song, they're talking about sitting here wishing on the cement floor, just wishing that I had something you wore. I can only imagine what he's going to do with it. But anyway, then, at another part, he's, at the end of the song, or no, in the middle of the song, he tells her, just run outside in the desert heat and make your dress all wet and send it to me. And then in the other one, he's saying, bloody your hand and, wipe it all over your dress. And then he wants it. So either way you look at it, it's a naughty song. It's very naughty. The Pixies version is more stalkery. I've actually talked about this in another vlog. I just can't remember which one it was. But the Pixies version is very, the entire band is probably hiding in the bushes peeking at this girl through her window as she's changing, The Pixies are just peeping Toms. David Bowie is just like freaking, just send me all your shit because I'm about to do nasty stuff with it. And he just makes it real, like, his is just real, real sexy. And the Pixies version, you know, is just real stalkery, for lack of a better word. And I love stalker songs. I love stalker songs so much. And actually, as I was getting my list together, I realized that a lot of the covers that I picked were covers that started out as poppy and then they slowed them down and made them creepy or stalkery. Not all of them, but a majority of them are. Number 3 is Hurt. Johnny Cash did it in 2002, and Nine Inch Nails / Trent Reznor did it in 1996. Now, the Nine Inch Nails version it's really, their version is really creepy, and it's really dark, and it's really, like, suicidal, honestly. It's more like when when it starts out, like, through most of the beginning of the song, it's very, it's almost like you hear, like, wind blowing, or, you know, like, air, so you have, like, already this really kind of weird vibe to it already, because it's just like, you know, it's like the undertone of it. And then just the way he sings it, Trent Reznor makes it sound really evil, and like he's mad, and like if he does do what he's going to say he's going to do it with a mean heart. He's going to do it really hatefully, like, it's just really mean. Okay, let's just put it that way. His version is really mean. His version is good. I like I like his version too, just because it's so slow and so quiet, and then all of a sudden this guitar comes out of nowhere at the end. Johnny Cash's version is more sad. His version is like, you know, because Johnny Cash was a lot older when he covered it, and his is more, it reminds me more of like, he's reflecting on his life, and it's more like he's saying, you know, what have I done, my sweetest friend? You know, kind of like, in a way, you know, I've done all this stuff and I'm kind of sorry about it. And, you know, everything, you know, goes away in the end. Basically the lyrics of the song. But his is more like, you know, he's saying you could have it all, my empire of dirt. Meaning, I'm probably getting entirely too deep. But to me, when Johnny Cash is saying it, you can have all this, because it doesn't mean that much to him anymore, because he doesn't have anyone. When Trent Reznor says it, he's like saying, I have nothing but crap, but you know what? You can have it, because it's crap and I don't want it and I don't like you. You get what I'm saying? Also, let me see. I have it written down right here. In the Nine Inch Nails versions, they say crown of shit, and Johnny Cash is crown of thorns. So his version was even a little bit more, because Johnny Cash was Christian, so his is even a little bit more godly, a little bit. And it was also, when it was released as a single, it was also released, he did a cover of Depeche Mode's Personal Jesus, so they kind of came out together. Okay, number 4 is Mad World. Tears for Fears originally did it in 1982, and Gary Jules and Michael Andrews, I didn't write when it came out. Oops. But it started with the Donnie Darko movie. It was on that soundtrack, and then it just became really huge. Like, it became like this really cult-like song, and then they re-released it, and I think it did really well. The Tears for Fears version, you know, it's more poppy. It's an 80s song. Either way you listen to it, though, the lyrics are creepy. The lyrics are creepy. I would only say that, you know, Tears for Fears did creepy lyrics with a poppy tune, and, you know, the Gary Jules version, they kind of just, like, stripped it down to nothing but, like, guitar and, like, him singing, and there might be a little something else in there. I want to say it's, like, cello or something like that in there. But it's, like, in the Tears for Fears version, you know, when they're like, happy birthday, and then, like, when Gary Jules sings it, it's kind of like, happy birthday, you know what I mean? Like, that's the difference. Okay, that's the difference. Number 5 is Hallelujah. Obviously, a lot of people are going to agree with me on this one, because Jeff Buckley's version, I think, is a lot more, I wouldn't say more popular, well, yeah, I would say more popular, or more known. Like, when you hear Hallelujah, you're usually going to think of Jeff Buckley, unless you're a big fan of this guy who originally wrote it. It came out in 84. His name is Leonard Cohen. He's actually coming, which is really weird that I looked this up. Because I got like a message for it. I get like emails about who's coming to Kentucky, and like he's coming to Louisville. Yeah. So Leonard Cohen came out with it in 84. Jeff Buckley did it in 94 on his Grace album, which is his only complete album because he died not long after that. He drowned. It's really sad. But Leonard Cohen, hopefully I'm saying his name right. His version, you know, there's a lot of instruments in his. He's got like a lot of guitars, like guitar solos, like a long guitar solo. He's got like a choir almost singing behind him. His voice is really deep and gravelly, which his version is actually still really, really good, just in a totally different way, if you know what I mean. His is really deep and gruff and manly. And Jeff Buckley, his voice is kind of deep, but he still kind of has like that boyish sound to his voice. So his version is almost just a little bit more like childlike a little bit. And Jeff Buckley's version, when it first starts out, he's got like that big sigh. He's like he's got to prep himself up for it, you know. And his version is, you know, basically just guitar. I don't know if there's anything else on it. I'm sure there is, but it's mainly, you know, it's mainly just him, you know, acoustic like, and it's really, really, really good. I love that song. And when I was reading up on it, they said that he originally probably had like 80 verses, and you know, and he had to like shorten it. But they also said there's over like 300 different versions of this song, whether it be, you know, on an album, official releases, or just people covering them. So I thought that was interesting. Number 6 is Running Up That Hill. I love this song. Damn you, Steve Perry, for interrupting Running Up That Hill. Father Steel. Okay, I had to do that. I always have to do that when I hear that song. So, okay, Placebo did it in 2003. Kate Bush did it in 85, and I love Kate Bush. I adore Kate Bush so much. She's just just her own person. She really is. And, you know, she's kind of quirky, and I just love her music. Cloud Busting is probably one of my favorite songs, and what's the other one? Breathing, that one's really good, and she's like rolling around in this bubble. She originally did Running Up That Hill, and Running Up That Hill has that, it's, you know, it's obviously more poppy and more upbeat, and because a girl's singing it, you know, it's like kind of higher pitched, and she said the song was about like a man and a woman, you know, a man and woman are never going to understand themselves. So she thought if they could make a deal with God and they could just switch places, even if it was just for a minute, to see how it was to be each other, you know, that's basically what that song is, that maybe they would understand each other, but they still probably wouldn't. Well, her version is like, oh, let's make a deal with God. You know, Placebo's version is a lot more, it has like that little evil undertone, which is still awesome. And for a while there, Placebo had my highest play count on iTunes with Running Up That Hill. Their version is just creepier, and it's a little bit more high tech, I guess you would say, with like, you know, synthesizers and stuff. And just, you know, like I said, it's just totally different when a man sings a woman song or when a woman sings a man song. It's already going to have a different vibe to it. And, but like I said, hers is more, you know, oh, and his is like, oh. That's what Placebo's reminds me of. That made I totally suck at explaining this right now. Okay. Number 7 is Tainted Love by Soft Cell. Their version came out in 81. It was originally done by Gloria Jones, another song that was by a woman and then done by a man. Hers came out in 65. Her version is more Motown. If, you know, like her version reminds me of like, you know, like in a dark nightclub and all these people are smoking, and, you know, she's like up there jamming, looking all pretty, and then there's like a guy with like the big bass, like kind of like doing that kind of stuff. That's what that version is. Soft Cell, because it came out in the 80s, it is very poppy. They both still have the they did keep that, and they kept like the basic beat, but you know, they added all that 80s pop stuff to it that just made it awesome. You know, they added the you know, like the clappy part to it, and it's awesome. And Marilyn Manson did a cover of it, but he just made it sound mean and evil and creepy, and I don't like Marilyn Manson anyway. He scares me. I don't like him. So, but Tainted Love wasn't an episode of Doctor Who. Yay! It was the End of Time episode. Pretty good. Number 8 is Blinded by the Light, and Amy is probably going to get so mad at me because Bruce Springsteen did it first, and I don't like his version. Bruce Springsteen did it in 73, and Manfred Mann's Earthman did it in 76, and they put the chopsticks in it. You know, the do 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 do. How can you not love a song that has the chopsticks in it? I mean, that every song should have the chopsticks in it somewhere, and I bet you that'll be number 1. That'll be number 1. But anyway, Manfred Mann, he did change the lyrics just a little bit because he says revved up like a deuce, not douche. First of all, probably some of the most popular misheard lyrics ever. It is not douche. It is deuce, as in like the car, I think is what Bruce Springsteen said it was, because I watched Bruce Springsteen talk about it on Storyteller, just like every other Bruce Springsteen fan did, and he said it was about the car. So, okay, Manfred Mann says revved up, and Bruce Springsteen says cuts like a deuce. That Springsteen, it's Bruce Springsteen's only number 1 single as a songwriter. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds smart, and I believe it. But Blinded by the Light is definitely very disco-y. Okay, it came out in the 70s, so it's already, I freaking love this song. Manfred Mann, you put me in a car on a road trip, I want to hear Blinded by the Light. I want to hear it. And it's just awesome. I can picture it right now. I've watched them singing on the Midnight Special so many times. I love it. And it also makes me want to watch Blow by Johnny Depp. That's what it always reminds me of. Even though, but the thing is my mom listened to a lot of disco and 80s music, so I've heard Manfred Mann's version since I was freaking, you know, old enough to understand what was going on. Like, she's always listening to that song. Number 9 is Human by the Pretenders. They did it in 99, and the Divinyls did it first in 96, and everybody knows the Divinyls from that song I Touch Myself, and I Touch Myself just makes me want to watch Austin Powers. I love that song. I don't like their version at all of Human. The first time I really remember, or that I heard Human, like I have heard it before. It's one of those songs where you heard it and then you hear it again and it's like deja vu. It's like, I've heard that before and I love it. I remember that I love it. But Human was in the movie, it's a Craig Ferguson movie about pot. Can't remember what it is. But it's a really good movie, and that song was in it, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to get that song immediately. The Divinyls version, they call it Human on the Inside. The Pretenders just call it Human. The Divinyls version sounds more like a demo. It's more raw, and you know, the girl from the Divinyls, I can't think of her name right now, she has just a really kind of whiny voice, which worked really good for I Touch Myself. But I did not like it, and she does this really high thing where she's like, and a da-da-da-da. Like, that's kind of how she does it. And Chrissy Hines, you know, she doesn't do it anything like that. Theirs is more smooth, and it's more polished, and it's just so good. And even Bug loves that song. You know, for the longest time, she was trying to explain that song to me one day, and I could not understand. I couldn't get what she was wanting me to give her. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she finally had to. The way I realized what she was talking about was she was telling me what we were doing when we heard it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I know what you want now. And I don't know how she was trying to explain it, but she loves that song too. And last but not least is My Maria by Brooks and Dunn. Brooks and Dunn did it in 1996. B.W. Stevenson did it in 1973. I know both versions because of my mom. My mom listens, you know, you listen to what your parents listen to. B.W. Stevens' version just sounds like a very folksy kind of, you know, just a little folksy 70s song. That's what it sounds like. Brooks and Dunn did it, and they made it a little bit bigger. And it just because of Ronnie, I think his name is Ronnie Dunn. It's Ronnie Dunn and Kix Brooks. His voice is just a bit more gravelier than his is. So that song came out, I want to say when I was in middle school, and that's all I wanted for my birthday. I'm like, I want My Maria for my birthday. I'm like, get me that CD. And I listened to that song on repeat forever. It was just like a man singing it, like a man singing My Maria kind of type thing. And not that I think that, but first of all, I don't think that either one of them are hot, but if you just listen to them, I love that song. And My Maria is probably one of the biggest songs Brooks and Dunn is ever known for, and it's a cover. It was the last song that they sang because Brooks and Dunn broke up, and it was the last song that they sang together in 2010. I think it was on was it the CMAs, or it was one of them award shows. Let me see. I thought I wrote it down. I obviously didn't. It won them a Grammy. It was a #1 for them. B.W. Stevenson, though, I love his version too. I will listen to either version. And mainly, I love a lot of 70s music. I love a lot of 70s, like classic rock. And you know what? Country artists are really good at taking like 70s songs, like 70s kind of folksy songs, and making them like country, and it sound good. Sammy Kershaw did Chevy Van. He covered Chevy Van. Now, the one cover Brooks and Dunn did that I did not like was they covered Missing You by John Waite. No. No, Brooks and Dunn. That was a bad idea. So, bad. These are all cover songs that I listen to right now. Like I listen to them right now. I listen to them all the time. I was obsessed for the longest time with Hurt by Johnny Cash. And I don't know why. Like after I watched the movie Johnny and June, I immersed myself in all Johnny Cash music. And I liked Johnny Cash even before that. But I suddenly just like surrounded myself with Johnny Cash music, and that was one of my favorite ones to listen to. And another cover that Johnny Cash does that is really, really good is Heart of Gold by Neil Young. Neil Young's version, awesome possum too. But just because when Johnny Cash did it, he was so much older, and his voice was so much more gritty and gravelly that, Heart of Gold almost, I don't know. It's just amazing. I love that version too. His last couple of albums were pretty much nothing but covers. And some of them were good and some of them weren't so good. But Heart of Gold, I love that one. Love it, man. So, okay, guys, that's about it. I'll put all the links down at the bottom. I'll put Amy's link down there. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.